What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to Show and Tech. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit differently. We're going to be comparing two of the more competitive truly wireless earbuds. And so without wasting any more time, we have a head-to-head between the Soundcore Liberty Air 2s and the Airpods Pro. So we're going to be breaking them down today based on their price, the look, the design, and the fit of them, their battery life, how you control them, and then finally, the most important thing is how they sound. So before getting into it, I usually leave this at the end, but I'm getting pretty excited now. We're really close to 100 subs, and if you didn't know, you need 100 subs in order to get your own custom YouTube URL. So if at any point you find this video interesting, you like any of the content that's coming at you, please, please, please hit that subscribe. Us small channels, we need love too. And so without wasting any more time, let's get into the first aspect of the head-to-head. So number one, we have in the blue corner, again, the Liberty Air 2s made by Soundcore, and we have in the white corner, the AirPods Pro, obviously made by Apple. Now in Canada, the AirPods Pro retail for $329. In the US, I believe it's $249, whereas these guys here, the Liberty Air 2s, retail for, depending on the day that you look at it on Amazon, anywhere from about $130 Canadian to $140, and I believe in the US, these are priced at $99. So already, just based on that alone, we could technically say that the Liberty Air 2s are the winner in this section. But what you have to remember is that because the AirPods Pro have ANC, active noise cancel, that kind of puts them in a different category and thus a different or slightly different price point. So next is discussing the look, the design, and the fit of these two earbuds. So starting off with the AirPods Pro, they still have that iconic or now iconic design with the pencil style earbuds and that long stalk that comes out. In the Pro iteration, the stock is obviously a little bit smaller. You've got the black accent on the back in the form of a microphone / airflow vent. And while they don't have any physical buttons to control the AirPods, they've gone with what has been called a capacitive touch, or just a squeeze touch on the stem in order to control the earbud. So you're able to use those squeeze controls to play, pause, skip forward and backwards, as well as cycle between the modes that are available on the AirPods Pro. Now, one really cool thing to note is while these do sport silicone tips, they're actually proprietary. And for you young viewers out there that may not know what that means, it just means that they are custom to Apple. So you can't go out, put on any random silicone tips that you find. These ones are designed by and made for the AirPods Pro specifically. Now, they're a little bit different in the way that they're designed. The silicone that they use is actually a little bit softer than you'd usually find on other silicone tips for earbuds, number one. And number two, they're actually a lot shorter. So they don't go as far into your ear, which lends itself to an increased level of comfort. And looking at the AirPods themselves, when you take the silicone tips off, you can see that they don't have that plastic stock that reaches directly into your ear. It kind of stops just at the outside of your ear canal. While still sealing, it just creates an amazing and very, very comfortable fit. Not only that, but on the silicone tips, as you know, they tend to get kind of dirty after wearing them for a couple of weeks or months. You get, that wax and gunk buildup on the screen of the speaker itself. So what Apple does differently here is that they put a little grill within the silicone tip itself on top of a mesh for the speaker itself, which provides that double layer of protection and ensures that you're gonna get the best quality sound for as long as possible before having to switch the tips. And when you do, obviously the new ones are gonna be nice and clean and not gonna have any adverse effects on the speaker itself. And finally, with respect to the design of the AirPods Pro, we mentioned this briefly before, it has that airflow vent. And this is something that I'm hoping other companies see and start to copy as more and more truly wireless earbuds come out. I know this is something that the Google Buds or the new Google Buds have as well, based on their reveal a couple months back. But essentially what it is an open vent that allows airflow from the outside environment to your ear canal. So you don't have that feeling of having plugged up ears where you have lots of sound reverberation and really loud footsteps. So when you have the AirPods Pro in, they're extremely comfortable. You feel super balanced and it doesn't really feel like you have anything in your ears at all. Moving on to the Liberty Air 2s, they also feature the pencil style or stock design, but unlike other brands, these don't really look too out of place when you have them in your ears. The stock on them isn't too long. They're not very large like the Skull Candy Indies, if you've ever seen those. And my favorite part about them is the fact that they come in both black and white with that really cool orange accent at the bottom of the stock. Now the Liberty Air 2s as well don't have any physical buttons on them. They instead use a touch sensor on the base of each of the earbuds, and you are able to either double tap or 2-second long press on the sensor in order to again play, pause, move forward, move backwards, but more importantly, change the volume up and down. And while the silicone tips that the Liberty Air 2s use are just generic silicone tips, they provide you with numerous sizes out of the box, I believe 5 in total, and each of them are very comfortable and do sit well in your ear. So although you don't have that air vent to reduce the amount of reverberations and that plugged up feeling, they do still have a very comfortable fit and are much more lightweight than the AirPods Pro. And then finally, both these guys feature wireless charging cases. The only real difference between the two is that the charging case on the Liberty Air 2s, rather than allowing you to see how much charge remains by using an app or your smartphone, you just simply press the button on the bottom and you have a 3 LED light gauge that shows you how much battery is left. Conversely, as we all know, the AirPods, when you open the case, there is a pop-up on your iOS device that shows you not only the battery percentage of each of the AirPods themselves, but also the case. Me personally, I prefer Apple's method of showing you how much battery life is left. There's really nothing wrong with having LED lights other than the fact that it's just not as accurate as seeing the exact battery percentage. So overall, in terms of the design, I would give the slight edge to the Liberty Air 2s for the fact that number one, they do look very sleek, and number two, they give you that black option, which as I mentioned in a previous video, it just lends itself to being more stylish and giving you a much more subtle look when you are out and about and using the earbuds. Some people prefer that polarizing AirPods look, but at that point, it's mostly for the aesthetic and I guess letting people know that you're wearing AirPods. So next is the battery life, and it's important to note that when discussing battery life for these truly wireless earbuds, it's really not a huge concern due to the fact that the cases themselves are all able to recharge the buds when the battery dies out. So I think on average, any truly wireless earbuds that you decide to pick up are gonna last you for at least 24 hours. But specific to these guys here, the AirPods Pro feature 24 hours of battery life in total once taken out of the box, and 4.5 to 5 hours for each earbud. Now it's important to note that active noise cancel and the ambient sound mode that the AirPods Pro provide are battery drainers. So if you're gonna use the ANC a lot, or you're constantly using that ambient sound mode while playing your music, then yes, you're gonna see on average the lower end of that battery life. However, if you were to leave these off, then you'll probably have no issues with battery life. But again, out of the box, these are rated at 4.5 to 5 hours for each of the buds, and then 24 hours in total if you were to keep using the charging case. Now, as for the Liberty Air 2s, they feature 7 hours per earbud and a total of 27 hours out of the box. As a reminder, these don't have active noise cancel and they don't have an ambient sound mode, and so that could probably be attributed to their longer battery life. So in terms of battery, this is technically a win for the Liberty Air 2s, but I would put an asterisk beside that one because of the fact that, again, these have ANC and ambient mode, so it's not really fair to pair the battery life of the two because this is able to do a little bit more. So next, moving on to the controls. The AirPods Pro feature a squeeze mechanic in order to make any alterations to what you're listening to. So one squeeze on the stock will pause or play whatever it is that you're playing. 2 squeezes will skip forward. 3 squeezes will bring you back. And then finally, a squeeze and hold will cycle you between ambient sound mode, off, and active noise canceling. Now, one thing that I hear about these often is that the controls are finicky, they're hard to use. It's better to use the touch controls. The squeeze controls aren't always accurate. And to me, that's completely false. I find the only time that people have issues with these, and I let relatives use these, I let my wife use them, I notice that the only time people have issue with this is when they don't understand how the capacitive touch actually works. So when you squeeze the stock, there's actually an audio confirmation, a little click sound that you can hear to know that you've squeezed it correctly. Obviously, if you were to want to squeeze it 3 times to go backwards, however, you can just listen for that sound 3 times to know that you've done it the right way. So for me, I find this to be highly accurate. Very few times do I press it incorrectly or press it accidentally. And I very rarely have issues in moving forward or moving backwards when and how I want to. Now going on to overall controls, not only on the hardware, but on the software as well, there's really not much that you control with regards to the AirPods Pros when you are using them on an iOS device. You can change the settings to allow you to toggle between ANC off and ambient mode, or you can have it just to switch between ANC and ambient. That's one area that you can customize. And then you can also play around with how you want to turn on your voice assistant or how many clicks you want to do each action. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Now moving back to the Liberty Air 2s, as we said, these feature a touch sensor. And right off the bat, I'm not gonna lie to you, the touch sensor on this is a little finicky. It's hard to tell if you've touched it correctly. There's no feedback to know if you touched the right spot. So I find with this, I'm kind of guessing whether or not I actually touched it twice in order to make the change that I'm trying to make. I do also have issues with the touch and hold for 2 seconds, because if you've touched the wrong spot, you could be holding it for 4 seconds and it's not gonna register anything. So you gotta get really precise with those. Make sure that your finger is almost completely flat on the device. And not only that, but it's kind of annoying to be knocking on an earbud when it's already so deep in your ear and there's none of that airflow vent to kind of reduce the amount of reverberation in your head. So I found that part of it to be slightly annoying. What I do like about the touch controls on the Liberty Air 2s is that you are able to set certain controls to the right earbud and certain controls to the left. And not only that, you're also able to adjust the volume on the fly by touching the earbuds themselves without having to use a smartwatch or your phone. Finally, both of these guys feature the ability to take one earbud out and automatically pause what you're listening to, which is a fantastic feature. So overall, probably not gonna have many people agree with me on this. I find that the AirPods Pro do have the better controlling mechanic. However, I feel that the Liberty Air 2s provide you with way more control and much more customizability. So I would call this one a draw. And lastly, probably the most important category is the sound. So the AirPods Pro, and I've touched on this numerous times, the AirPods Pro do not have the best sound. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. The sound that you get out of these is not amazing. I've watched countless reviews, I've read countless articles, and constantly I'm seeing reviewers say how great the sound is. This is a huge upgrade from the AirPods 1 and 2s. And really and truly, that huge upgrade is simply coming from the fact that you now have a seal in the form of a silicone tip in your ear. The sound quality has not really changed from generation 1 to 2 or this one here, unfortunately. Not to discredit what anybody else is saying, I just find that because I'm paying for these and because I know how expensive they are, this is not what $329 should sound like, in my opinion. If I got these for free, free things are always great. So if I got these free, I would say, yes, these sound amazing. They're free, they sound great. But when you're paying the money, you become more skeptical of the things that you're using and you tend to look out for quality a lot more. And so paying for these at full price as I did and paying for these guys here at full price as I did, I can honestly tell you that the sound quality on these is not the best. It's good, but it is not the best. The thing that hinders this the most is the fact that they sound the best when you have ANC and ambient mode turned off. And that's so annoying. People are buying these for the active noise cancel. They're buying it for that great ambient sound mode. So the sound should be great all the time. It sucks that you have to turn them off in order to get the best sound quality. Not only that, and not to continue beating the dead horse, but these don't offer any ability to change your EQ settings. So whatever you get out of the box is what you get, and you just have to deal with it. If it's not enough bass for you, or it's too much bass for you, it doesn't hit the lows the way you want them to, you just gotta deal with it. So overall, the sound on these is just pretty okay. The Liberty Air 2s, however, offer a much more robust sound, especially coming in at that price point. When you pay the $130 for these or the $99 if you're in the US, they sound a whole weight class above. They give you so many options out of the box through the app and the ability to not only use preset EQ settings, you can use customizable settings or what's called Hear ID. So the Hear ID is amazing. You put the earbuds in your ear, you run through a series of tests, takes about 3 or 4 minutes to do, where it tests your hearing ability and your hearing range, and then spits out the perfect settings for you. Me personally, I've tried all the preset EQ settings. I've tried to customize it myself, and I find myself always going back to Hear ID because of how great it sounds for me. And so at the end of the day, putting these guys up head to head, the AirPods Pro coming in at $329 and the Liberty Air 2s coming in at $130. I would definitely say that if you want the best bang for your buck, the Liberty Air 2s will not let you down. I'm not taking anything away from the AirPods Pro. They are a great device for what they offer, which is the active noise cancel. And while it's not the best active noise canceling, it still gets the job done. Is it worth paying that amount of money for just that one feature? Probably not, but some people are definitely gonna prefer the look of these. They're gonna prefer the wow factor when people see you walking around with them versus wearing something like this that is not as readily or as easily recognizable. You're gonna have people asking you, what are those? Are those fake AirPods, etc. And if you're able to deal with that or don't care about that, like someone such as myself who just cares about the best sound, then the Liberty Air 2s are the go-to every single time. And lastly, one quick thing that I forgot to mention in terms of sound quality, when you're on a call, voices coming through these are gonna sound great. They come through both of the earbuds on both the AirPods and the Liberty Air 2s. The microphone quality is top tier on the AirPods Pro. People will hear you clearly. Doesn't matter if you're walking through a mall or walking around downtown. There is not a big drop off in terms of microphone quality on the Liberty Air 2s. However, you do notice a slight difference. And so that's it from me. I hope that this was useful for those of you who are trying to decide if the AirPods Pro are really worth it. I figured I would give you a nice budget option, a very competitive budget option. If you decide on grabbing something else other than the Liberty Air 2s, I can't blame you. There's tons of other great options out there, but it was just the option for me. And if you have any other great options similar to the Liberty Air 2s that you would like me to check out, please let me know in the comments. And so that's it from me. Thank you for watching. Much love as always. Throwing up 2 of them, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.